We're halfway through October. Full swing fall. Leaves are falling. We're, a month and a half away from the cold, the snow, the winter months. I can't do John Facenda, but when the autumn winds give way to the winter chill, that is when the Vikings and the Lions and the Bears roar. This is Sports Frenzy 2.0. If you couldn't tell,
your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary.
I'm your jackass host number one, the maestro Kevin Crane.
And I'm the brilliant sidekick.
Oh, you were not supposed to say that. I took the bullet. Great. As I always do.
Come on, you knew that.
It is October the 16th, 2024. This will drop early on Thursday morning, October the 17th, the 41st episode of 2024 for us.
God, this year is flying.
Yes. Time flies as you get old. Remember this, you younger kids in the audience. Cherish your precious moments.
Because once you hit 22, the clock just goes into overdrive.
It accelerates. It accelerates beyond belief.
And then when you have your kids, it's exponentially so.
Yep. But we are here to give you a break from worrying about all that crap. Don't worry about the politics in the world. Don't worry about how terrible your football team or your baseball team is doing. We're here to just break that all down for you. You lay back, crack a beer, or your preferred adult beverage,
and commiserate with us as we take the brunt for you.
We will delve into all of it for you. You can jump up out of your easy chair, your lazy boy, and go, hey, I don't know if I agree with that. Rare,
or you go,
as it may be.
Damn, these guys are good.
That's what happens 98.7% of the time. I had studies done on this. 98.7% of the time, people go, damn, those guys are good. Damn, they know what they're talking about.
So there we go.
The other 1.3% are Kamala Harris voters. And as always at this point in the season, again, as the autumn winds blow into the winter.
Yeah.
We talk first and foremost about the NFL. And what a wonderful trip over the pond it was for the Chicago Bears.
It was brilliant. I especially liked the tea and crumpet touchdown celebration that the Bears had.
Now, God help us, we're not trying to be cocky.
No.
But this is the most excitement we've had with a Bears team in a decade.
At least. And yeah, you can say, well, they beat up on two bad teams. Yes, two bad teams they were supposed to beat up on. This is progress for the Bears.
Yeah, because there are a lot of good teams out there. Look at Kansas City right now. And I'm not trying to disparage the Lord God kings of the football realm, but they are barely getting by each and every week. Now, they've played better competition.
But they do not look, they're not firing on all cylinders. They've got major injury issues. But even when they had everybody healthy, they looked vulnerable.
You've got teams like the Ravens who started off 0-2, and then they turned everything around, figured out what to do with Derrick Henry. Duh.
Give them the ball and let them run.
And now the Bears, after a couple weeks, Caleb Williams needed 2 weeks.
They needed the team to tell their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, we need to start scripting plays to get us going for the beginning. Get us into the rhythm. We know what we're going to be calling. We are prepared for it. We're not going to have the false starts, all of that crap. And to his credit, he listened to them.
And then he figured out how to use DeAndre Swift, finally. After
Yes.
the first 3 weeks, DeAndre Swift was non-existent. Now, all of a sudden, he's the best running back in the NFL. And please, God, keep him healthy.
Yeah, no.
Although,
and
Roschon Johnson's not a bad backup to have.
No, Roschon is running like crazy, too. So the Bears are decent at running back. Offensive line has some consistency. Biggest piece, Nate fucking Davis is no longer playing. The last 2 weeks, the offensive line has looked good. His ass has been on the bench. That was an awful signing. And God, I hope one of the rumors I heard was true, that they could potentially trade him to the Colts, who are in desperate need for bodies on the offensive line.
Yep. Cut the dead weight, open up more cap space so we can bring in more help on the offensive line and on the defensive side of the ball. Shore this team up, because I'm telling you, 2025 is a playoff year. I'm not looking at the playoffs this year. The NFC North is so ungodly good.
The North is the best, could be the best division in football right now.
My prediction right now, October the 16th, 2024, yes, I am going out there and saying this. Even though they're undefeated, the Vikings will not make the playoffs.
Ooh.
Because somebody has got to fall. The Lions are not going to fall. The Lions right now could be the best team in football along with the Ravens. That's right now my Super Bowl matchup that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and we'll see if the Lions can overcome losing the heart and soul of that defense.
And they've still got a week or two here to play with in terms of trading. We'll get to the big trades, the wide receivers, the offensive weapons this week. But you could still see some defensive players change teams in the next week or two as well. I'm sure the Lions are going to be talking about Hassan Reddick. They're going to be talking about Max Crosby. Bengals. If the Bengals were to stumble. Now, I personally think the Bengals are going to do what the Bengals do. Now they're going to run off
season surge.
Yeah, now they're going to run off a 5 or 6 game winning streak.
Yeah, but that defense needs to pull their heads out of their asses.
Yeah, so why would you trade Trey Hendrickson, the one good piece from that defense? You would literally have to drop to 2-5, and I don't see that happening. So
no.
Everybody's looking for defensive help in the NFC North. The Bears are. The Lions are. Wouldn't be shocked if the Packers were.
Nope, everybody wants to get better.
Because the offenses are all lock, stock, smoking barrel hot right now. All 4 of them.
Yeah,
you know?
They're all clicking.
3 of the 4 teams have their quarterbacks for the next 3, 4, 5 years and beyond. Sam Darnold, see, that's where I'm thinking I still can't buy into Sam Darnold. Especially after that second half. That second half he had against the Jets was abysmal.
And it wasn't good. Was that more he looked bad, or were they just trying to coast?
I don't know. They've got the weapons. They've got a solid defense with Brian Flores. They've got Justin Jefferson. If Aaron Jones can somehow stay healthy, they've got a decent running game. Everything I'm hearing is T.J. Hawkinson is on track to come back in a couple weeks and be 100% healthy.
That's going to add that dimension that they're missing right now.
Yeah.
Which is frightening.
But I still don't trust Sam Darnold. Once they have to play, we're going to find out this week. You know, we got a big game with them. Well, the Bears get to sit back and watch everybody.
See what's going on.
Yep, get beat up on. Play tough games. And then we come back with the Commanders, which, by the way,
just got flexed
national
from the 1:00 start to the CBS afternoon national slot. But we have to listen to Tony fucking Romo.
I was just going to say that. Oh, my God, when you said CBS.
Yep.
The sad thing is now, it doesn't matter if it's Fox or CBS in the late window, because Tom Brady's awful.
Oh, he's
Tom
not
Brady's
been good.
awful.
He has not been good.
And now, of course, he has been approved to take over an ownership share of the Las Vegas Raiders, but he's been playing by all these rules, supposedly.
Yeah, he's not allowed to watch any practices of teams he's covering. He's barred from the production meetings and the meetings with the players and coaches, and he is barred from being at any other team facilities.
And he can't criticize the officials.
No. Which is ridiculous.
This probably explains why he's been awful.
Yeah, he doesn't have any leeway to actually make valid comments about the game. That is the one piece I think is absolute bullshit, that he's not allowed to comment on the officiating. Especially in light of that debacle that we had in the Buffalo Bills-New York Jets game.
Yeah, what, both teams double digits in penalties?
Yeah, both were called for 11 penalties apiece and well over 100 yards. And the most awful, ridiculous roughing the passer call I've ever fucking seen. When Aaron Rodgers, who got sacked, called it an awful call, you know that officiating crew was trash.
Yeah, I have a problem with the whole censorship thing. I get the fact that as an owner, yes, there is the potential for bias. So I understand it's very tricky territory for the NFL to trot upon.
Yeah, and then the potential of keeping him out of facilities and with meeting with people, he can't do any scouting.
Right.
That's fine. But he has got to be able to call the game and comment on what's transpiring. Having the officials off limits is an absolute travesty.
Yeah. Fox has got to love this because they basically lopped the balls off of Tom Brady in terms of his commentary.
Yeah, so why is he even there?
And they're stuck with him for what, another 9 years after this?
Yeah. Good luck with that.
All right, so we'll go through last week's games and hit the highlights, and then we'll bring in the news headlines of this week as they come. Last Thursday night, the 49ers, in a must-win game, go into Seattle, knock off the Seahawks 36-24, and now they have a big-time Game of the Year showdown.
Yep, and we'll get to that when we talk about our picks.
Yep, with the Chiefs. We talked about the Bears in London, 35-16 over the Jaguars.
Yep, 4 touchdown passes for Caleb Williams. Could have been 6. DJ Moore got tackled right at the half-yard line, and then Swift ran it in. And then that interception that he got pissed at himself for, knowing that he didn't put enough on it.
That was an awful throw. I know, that was an awful throw.
It was bad.
When that happened, because it was early in the game, I was worried. And luckily he bounced back and played, dare I say, a perfect game after that.
Yeah, after that he was on.
But yeah, he put way too much air under that one.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the first time since 1956 that the Bears have gone back-to-back games scoring 5 offensive touchdowns. So let the good times roll, Chicago.
Let's keep it going, baby.
We might actually finally have that franchise quarterback we've been pining for over 50 years.
Yeah. It's looking good right now. All right. Then the Colts took out the woe-begone Titans.
And do the Colts really want Anthony Richardson to play? This is what I can't figure out. Yes, they're saying this week Anthony Richardson should be healthy and play. But this game here...
Flacco's look so good running that offense.
Yes, as Dave said, It's a terrible Titans team they beat up. It was on the road, though.
Yeah, they won by a field goal.
But it's an impressive road win nonetheless.
Yeah.
And that what evens them out at 3-3.
Yep.
I do believe. So they can still salvage their season. If I was Shane Steichen, I'd be like, oh my God, I really just want to keep Joe Flacco in.
Gee, maybe Anthony's not quite ready yet, Doc. Hint, hint.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like they're going to push him
They're
to start.
going to have to go.
They have got to see what they've got in him.
Nothing.
If you had a terrible backup quarterback, I would understand.
Yeah.
But Flacco's the best backup quarterback in the league, arguably. Who can win you games?
Yeah, that's the key. He's able to win. You got to see what you have with Richardson, though. And it's not like they have a stellar defense that is going to do much going down the line. So they're not in a window, really, to be vying for anything. So use the time you have now.
The Buccaneers put up 50.
They put a 50 up.
51 on the Saints. And I'm going to say, I fucking told you also, not about the Buccaneers, but I knew that the Saints were not any good. And they're out the 2-0 start, and they look,
Yeah.
How's that working out?
They were more prepped than everybody else at the beginning of the year. That's what it came down to.
Because now, all of a sudden, after that big, wonderful 2-0 start, they beat up on the Dallas Cowboys.
Everybody's beating up on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, how does that look now? Now the Saints can't win a game to save their life. They don't have a starting quarterback. Their top two wide receivers are both out. Alvin Kamara is going I can't do everything.
Why?
And the one thing, despite the fact that we took the Buccaneers and we were right, I was worried about Baker Mayfield, which is why I didn't start him on my fantasy team. Because every time they play the Saints, Marshawn Lattimore shuts Mike Evans down. Well, Chris Godwin decided,
I'm going to show up this week.
With a ridiculous fantasy football game. No Rashad White in the backfield. Bucky Irving did okay.
Yep.
So
Bucky stood up and
51-27 in the Big Easy. Again, just like with the Colts, you have to give credit for a road win.
Yep.
Now, in this case, a dominant road win.
Yeah. Major dominant win.
So this is going to come down in the NFC South. I'm telling you, Falcons, Bucks.
Then the Commanders and their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, went to Baltimore. Put up a valiant fight, but still, the Ravens win 30-23.
Yeah, I think right now the Ravens are the best team in football. They had a couple weeks, just like the Bears, Caleb Williams. You need a couple weeks to figure out what to do with Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Now they know they've integrated him fully into the offense. We're starting to see Mark Andrews even get back in the fold again.
Yeah.
The Ravens will not lose to the Chiefs again. I'm going to say that right now. Unless there's an injury.
Yeah, barring an injury and with the Chiefs is dinged up. Yeah. Looking good for Baltimore right now. Chargers at the Broncos.
Scary moments for Jim Harbaugh.
Yes.
Where they
having an arrhythmia with his heart. He had to go get into the locker room and get that under control. And
I'll admit, I did not read this one correctly. I thought at home the Broncos would be the better team, but the Chargers did win. They're still
not looking like they're fully integrating what Harbaugh wants to do.
But he is such a good coach. I can see him getting them into the playoffs, even with a team that has no offensive weapons whatsoever outside of the quarterback.
Yeah.
They need one more year, spend some money on the offense,
Yeah, because the defense is going to be just fine.
Yep.
And then... oh, the smackdown that the Lions gave the Cowboys down in Texas. Oh, that was beautiful.
Everybody is saying, now I was watching the Roval, so I kind of checked in on this later on and then realized what's the point.
Exactly. We checked out on it too.
There was a calculated, concerted effort by Dan Campbell to embarrass the Cowboys with the plays he was running.
Oh my God. They were pulling out all the stops to make them look like complete doofuses.
So all these people, yes, baseball right now is all falling your way. Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers, but that's not the way it works in the NFL.
No.
It's a level playing field. There's a salary cap, a hard cap, so all teams have the same opportunity. And if you've got an idiot, senile owner/GM, who we'll get to a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah. Gee, how's that working out for you? You've got almost $85 million a year wrapped up in your quarterback and top receiver.
Who don't like each other? Who don't like each other? Who are arguing half the time?
And neither one is any damn good.
I wouldn't go that far, but
they're not worth the money they've been given.
No, well, Trevor Lawrence isn't worth the money he's getting.
No.
Half these quarterbacks aren't worth the money they're getting.
Way damn overpaid.
Justin Herbert, despite the fact they got a winning record, hasn't done anything.
No. And Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, there you go. There's the ultimate example.
Ultimate case in point.
That team is already bailing on the season.
Yeah, but they won't bench him.
And that's the thing. They're stuck with him. They have no options, no choices. You can't trade him because we're looking at a dead cap number the size of, Jamarcus Russell with the Raiders years ago.
Yeah.
Oh. I remember looking at the pie chart for that.
Bad money begets bad money.
Bad decisions by a dumb front office, or in this case, a dumb owner who won't ever admit that he's wrong, even though the Cowboys have not been to a Super Bowl in over 30 years.
Yeah. How? Ooh. And gee, doesn't that really correlate with when Jerry took over running the team as GM?
We'll get to it more later. More later on that.
But
now, of course, we're just covering the games, the big games from last week, not every game.
And then Aiden Hutchinson breaks both bones in his lower leg.
Yep, and we talked about that. He broken tibia, broken fibula, out for the year.
In a runaway game like that, he really should not have been out there.
And then, of course,
there you go.
We had the Monday night game. Oh, the storylines with the Jets. It's just wonderful for us. Keeps us talking. And the best part is they lose.
My God.
Yes, I picked them to beat the Bills, and they should have. They should have beat the Bills because the Bills in the second half could do nothing. Nothing.
No, and it was just... They got lucky with that Hail Mary.
Yeah, the Hail
Mary.
Mary.
At the end of the game that kept them in it.
The Hail Mary upsets me because I am actually hearing people who played the game, who actually played NFL football, talking about how skilled Aaron Rodgers is at throwing
There's no
Hail
skill
Marys.
involved in that. You heave it up and hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's all about jockeying for position, and if you're lucky enough to come down with the tip. That's all it is.
I agree. But I'm just telling you.
People are morons.
Because we've got so many talking heads all over FS1, FS2, ESPN2.
Yeah, he's still got the arm to get it there. But it is all luck if somebody can come down with it in that scrum. There is no skill in putting it in the right spot.
So this past Monday night, the Bills hang on, beat the Jets at MetLife Stadium 23-20, and that starts more dominoes falling, Dave, because the Jets, in full-on panic mode, what do?
They go out and they make a trade to bring Davante Adams in from the Raiders.
Which supposedly was in the works for weeks and weeks. And they had this so well orchestrated that on his Tuesday Pat McAfee show appearance, Davante Adams just happens to walk into the picture behind Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, gee.
He was already at Aaron Rodgers' house.
Yeah,
out on the East Coast.
Bullshit. God, I hope that blows up.
Another example, as you put it, when we were texting about this, when it happened, a whiny, crybaby, pampered athlete
gets his way again.
Yep.
In this case, you got two of them.
What does this mean? Aaron Rodgers is going to show up in Taco Bell commercials now?
Oh, my God.
As if those weren't painful enough to begin with.
Those are so bad.
Oh, let's just throw it in America's face. Davante Adams is so fucking rich.
He has a Taco Bell in his house.
Yeah. When are we going to get smart enough to realize these people are laughing in our faces?
Ugh. So damn frustrating.
But then because the Jets go out and get Davante Adams, it turns around that the Bills,
they make a move and trade with the Browns so they get Amari Cooper.
And Amari Cooper's probably going, Thank you, God! Thank you!
Thank you, I have a quarterback who can actually throw the damn ball.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with the Bills, that they tried to run this as long as they could, and I don't think they regret getting rid of Stephon Diggs because he can be a cancer. He can be a definite negative influence in the locker room. But they tried to make it work. Keon Coleman has not developed the way they'd hoped. No. Khalil Shakir has been okay, but not great. The two tight end situation isn't working the way they'd hoped. So
but they're not trying to get it to them either.
They needed an alpha male wide receiver.
Yeah. They need the guy who can go deep on them.
And the thing is, this is a one-year gamble.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, he's off the books.
Yeah. You reset and move forward.
Yep. And with this win, you got to remember the Bills are now in the driver's seat.
Yes,
in the
they are.
AFC East. So you can say it's reactionary, but now the Jets have got a long uphill climb, even with Davante Adams, to try and catch the Bills going forward. Who knows? The Patriots suck. Who knows what the Dolphins are going to be? When does Tua come back?
Does Tua come back? Mike McDaniels thinks he will, but we'll have to wait and see.
And, of course, there are draft picks involved here with these trades, but nothing of big significance. We're talking third-round picks.
Yeah.
Potentially up to a second.
Conditional.
Yeah. And then for some reason, people are talking about Cam Akers getting traded from the Texans to the Vikings. Like that's some kind of significant move. A third-string running back going from the Texans to the Vikings.
That's insignificant.
Atlanta, I'm a little upset about this. Atlanta got the 2028 Super Bowl. When does Indianapolis get another shot here?
No kidding. Good Lord.
Oh, it's too cold. It's too cold.
Boo frickin' who?
So why don't you just admit, all you care about is L.A., Las Vegas, Arlington, New Orleans, Atlanta,
and
Miami, and Tampa. Just admit, those are the ones in play each and every year, and then occasionally you'll tease us with a Minnesota.
If somebody gets a new stadium.
Right. And it better be domed. I don't think they're ever going to repeat that New York fiasco.
That was fun. Come on.
That was terrible. It was a terrible game.
I loved it.
Absolutely awful. From the second that snap went through Peyton Manning's hands, that was awful. Awful.
Deal with the elements.
All right. So, we'll move on to this week's games. Starting with Thursday night, October the 17th. This is a revenge game for Sean Payton.
Yes, it is. God, unceremoniously let go by the Saints. Now he's with the Broncos. Time to put up.
And the thing is, we mentioned the Saints, backup quarterback, top two receivers. Chris Olave's in concussion protocol, will not play this week. Raheed Shaheed has a meniscus issue, will undergo surgery, and will be out at least 4 weeks, if not longer.
I know, that's another blow to my fantasy football team.
So who knows who is going to be catching the football for the Saints? This has got to be a Broncos win, right, Dave?
I would think it would be a Broncos win. So we have 7 of our 8 panelist picks in. The sane people, you, me, and Bill, are taking the Broncos. I don't know what the hell everybody else is on. Taking the Saints.
Dennis Allen is going to be the first head coach fired. I mean, we know what happened with Robert Saleh.
The second head coach fired.
I still think I put that in a different category.
Yeah, for sure.
That was all the prima donna quarterback's doing. This will be just because
he's bad.
Dennis Allen sucks. Yes. Another London game. This time, though, this coming Sunday, October the 20th.
It's a Jaguars home game as they host the Patriots across the pond. Patriots are bad to begin with. And let's face it, the Jaguars have now been in London for over a week, and they are fully acclimated to the time zone.
That, believe it or not, is the major consideration I gave this pick, is that they are settled in. They're technically the London Jaguars.
Right. Yeah, because they always play at least 2 games over there.
Yep. The Patriots do scare me for one simple reason. Drake May, in his first game, when he was not expected to do anything,
he actually showed up.
Put up some numbers. And this Jaguars defense, as we saw last week with the Bears, is not good at all. But if Doug Peterson does not want to get fired on the way back to America,
they have to win this game. They have to.
He will. I think he would have gotten fired last week if it wasn't for the fact
if they weren't staying over there. Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing that saved his job. They need to win this game. Might not have Travis Etienne. It's iffy there, but I don't
really, is he that damn? Is he good enough to make that much of a difference?
No, I think
he's not. He's been overrated.
They would be better off if he was out, and they could just say, Tank Bigsby, you're the guy, you're the man.
Going forward, don't worry about it.
Yep. So Jaguars across the board, except for Doug and Aaron.
Yep. Think the upstart Patriots.
This one shocks me a little bit.
No takers. Seahawks at the Falcons. It's Falcons across the board.
The Seahawks are not that bad of a team. I
They're
know
not.
they have gotten on a little bit of a bad run here, but they have played some heavy-duty competition.
They've gotten a little one-dimensional in the passing game, though.
Geno Smith is a competent quarterback, but he is not a superstar.
No.
And you can tell by his numbers this year.
He's just going to Metcalf.
Right.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, and he's putting up the same numbers every week. 300 yards passing, 1 touchdown. 300 yards pass. He doesn't know how to push the ball into the end zone. Like you said, all he's doing is focusing on Metcalf. He's got weapons everywhere else.
Yeah, he's got Lockett on the other side of the field. Come on.
Yep. He's got Noah Fant, pretty good tight end.
Yeah. This looks like it's coming down to the new offensive coordinator who doesn't know what to do with this team.
And I'll be honest with you. Today, I dropped Kirk Cousins off my fantasy team. Because, number one, I needed a spot because my kicker was on a bye. And I was not going to drop the best kicker in the NFL. But if you take away the Buccaneers game, the 5-touchdown game.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he's averaging like 11 points a game as a fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, that was no great loss there.
So but he is running a competent offense. He's got 2 good running backs in Tyler Algier and, of course, Bijan Robinson.
Yep, they can make up the difference, and they've got a solid defense.
Yep, so everybody's taking the Falcons. Texans at the Packers. Ooh, boy. Ooh, doggy.
Baby.
There's some dissension here. This is
there is.
7 picks
I like
in.
it.
As Dave said, 3-4 split. I'm taking the Packers. Sam's taking the Packers. So are Nick and Aaron.
Yep. Me, Bill, and Doug are going with the Texans.
With Jordan Love back, now he's had a couple weeks to get acclimated
They're playing
again.
better. I still don't know about their defense.
Texans don't have their number one passing option. To me, it looks like all you got to do is shut down Joe Mixon, and you can beat the Texans.
You could, but good luck doing
They're
that.
still not utilizing Tank Dell as much as I thought they would.
They should be using him a little bit more. You would have thought last week with Nico being...
And Dell had a decent game, but not... Last year, he and Nico were both...
Boom.
8, 9, 10 catches a game, 100 yards each.
Yeah. So why is Stroud not looking at Dell with Nico being out?
I don't get it.
I don't either.
But yes.
But this is where they have to do that.
But this is the thing. Last week, and I'm sure you loved it because you have Joe Mixon on your fantasy team.
I sat him coming back first week.
And oh my God,
and he goes off for 29.
Yeah.
I know. Made it a little closer than I would have liked, but
I do agree the Packers defense little shaky, leaves something to be desired, but at home I take Jordan Love and the Packers.
Yep, I just couldn't do it.
Dolphins at the Colts. Why would we pick this game?
Why? This is dumpster fire number 1. But no, the Dolphins have nothing. But yet Sam and Doug still think the Dolphins can beat the Colts.
Because they probably think that Anthony Richardson will throw the game away.
Potentially, but the Dolphins' defense still does not perform well. And the offense, who knows what the hell you're going to get. So, no. The Colts at home.
Yes.
Especially being at home.
Yeah, and the thing you got to remember is, and I'm not trying to be a cocky Bears fan here, but this Colts team with Anthony Richardson beat the Bears. Okay? So they can stumble into a win against a team that's not doesn't have all the pieces working together yet.
Yeah, and that was the Bears' offense didn't know what they were doing yet at that point.
Right. Big matchup. NFC North, finally. The Lions at the Vikings. Are you kidding me, Dave?
Yep, Vikings at home. Hutchinson being out is going to impact them more than everybody thinks.
Well, you have got, Nick and Doug agree with you.
Yep, I like that Brian Flores defense.
I can't back off on what I said earlier, that I think the Lions are the class of the NFC. So, Sam and I, along with Bill and Aaron, are taking Detroit.
It's going to be an interesting game.
This is where we find out
This
where
is where
Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. I remember years ago when the Jets drafted him and you were USC quarterback.
I know, that's why Bears have
Now,
a USC quarterback.
oh, shit. They do. Oh, God. Oh, go USC! Can I change my pick? No, just kidding.
But no, the only reason I like that Vikings defense at home.
See, I like the Lions in a dome. I think when the Bears get them outside,
all bets are off.
Just watch what happens at Soldier Field. Get Jared Goff outside.
He doesn't go.
Nope. You still got the 2 outdoor stadiums. You still got Lambeau and you still got Soldier Field in the NFC North.
Yep, and that's where the
Vikings have become little cozy pansies in their dome.
The Vikings have had the dome forever.
No, not forever. Like the Lions have had a dome forever. The Vikings used to play outdoors.
Way back in the day.
I am an old school NFL guy.
When they got
Fran Tarkington
do you
played
not
outside.
remember the Humphrey Dome where they played?
Fran Tarkington played outside. Bud Grant coached outside in the snow and the cold. When I was a young man,
it's been how long?
30 years. 30, 40 years.
There you go.
I said I conceded the fact they have been in a dome for quite a while, but not forever.
It feels like it.
The Lions have been in a dome forever.
Since the dawn of their existence.
Yes, and that's why they've been little pussycats until now.
Yeah. All right. Dumpster fire game number 2. Eagles at the Giants. My God. The underperforming Eagles and the hapless Giants.
If it wasn't for the fact that the Eagles are playing so far below their potential right now.
They have the better roster.
They've got one of the best rosters in football, but
they've got a head coach
who their fans have wanted fired for a year.
Who went off on them for booing.
And they had to apologize.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
If it wasn't for the fact that the Giants have the better coach. Brian Daboll's a better coach than Nick Sirianni.
He's a better coach, but has the worst.
He's got nothing else.
Yeah,
he's got nothing else. And now they just lost star left tackle Andrew Thomas for the year with a Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
So now Daniel Jones is going to get shellacked because he's got no backside help, no protection.
There's nothing there. The Eagles, God, have to win by default.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this will...
No, this is going to be like a 14-12 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be another low-scoring affair.
Now, that being said, everybody's taking the Eagles.
Yeah.
But
that's why I called it Dumpster Fire Game 2.
Yep. Then we get the game of the year.
This is it.
This week.
The game of the week. Chiefs at the 49ers.
Yeah, we're going to be at a concert.
Yep. Go figure. That's all right. It's all good.
At least the Bears are on a bye.
They are.
We don't miss the Bears.
We don't miss the Bears this go.
Chiefs at the 49ers rematch, of course, of the Super Bowl.
Yep. And
the
Chiefs are dinged up. They're not
going
undefeated.
This is the week they lose.
Yes, this is their week to lose. The Niners are healthy on offense.
And they need this game. They are only 3-3 right now.
Yeah.
They need to make a statement here,
yeah.
Especially their defense.
Their
defense needs to step up.
Especially at home.
Because Brock Purdy, despite the fact they're only 3-3, has been playing out of his ass.
Yeah, he has played well enough for them to win week in and week out.
You got George Kittle actually playing well. Top tight end in the NFL.
Yeah, they haven't needed Christian McCaffrey.
Right. They just plug in whoever. Jordan Mason got hurt in that Seattle game. Sprained AC joint in his shoulder. Looks like he might be able to go. But then they bring in their third stringer, and that kid runs for almost 100 yards.
Yeah. So, now with everybody coming back on the offense, this should be the Niners.
You and I, along with Sam and Aaron, agree.
But Bill, Nick, and Doug going with the Chiefs.
And I would expect it. I would expect this game to be pretty much almost even Steven.
Yeah. It should be a hell of a game.
Oh, Dave, remember last week when I said evil will win?
Guess what? I'm with you this week.
You are. I looked at your picks and I'm like, yeah, I was a week off on that, wasn't I? Because I had the Jets winning last week and I had Colorado winning last week in college, and they both failed me. But this week, evil wins this week.
That's right. Jets going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers.
What is up with Mike Tomlin?
Oh, I think we're going to go with Russell Wilson.
Why? Why?
Justin Fields has been winning for you.
Because I think they're purposely trying to fuck over the Bears.
I think they are.
Because we all know that if Justin Fields plays over half the year, the Bears get a higher draft pick from that trade.
Yep.
It seems like they don't care about the season. Just fuck the Bears over.
Yeah. Nah. Even though the Bears gifted them a second-round pick, taking that doofus...
Oh, God, Chase Claypool
off their hands.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
So, no, this...
I looked today, fantasy football, I know is not real football, but when I dropped Kirk Cousins, I just happened to look and looked at the rank of the quarterbacks to today.
Yeah, based on what they've been doing. Total point.
Justin Fields is like 4th or 5th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
In fantasy. And we're going to sit him. He's not good enough.
No, even though we're winning, he's doing enough to help us win. Nope. Wilson coming in against that Jets defense.
And now, of course, everybody's happy because Davante came in.
Coming.
And that means Aaron's happy. So everybody's happy. The owner's happy. And the GM's happy. And everybody's happy in New York.
And so it's going to just be happy, happy, happy. So, Jets for you, me, and Doug. Everyone else taking the Steelers. The Steelers are sabotaging themselves.
Yes, that's the thing. If they had just kept to what they were doing and said, if Mike Tomlin comes out and says, Justin's winning, Justin's our quarterback until we start losing. Just pulling this out of his ass and going, oh, I think Russell, if he's healthy and he's ready,
what is he?
He's in the conversation.
He's not even practicing with the starters. He's getting minimal reps, if any.
Why even send mixed messages to the rest of the team like this?
It's absolutely
bad coaching.
stupid.
Now, I have never claimed to be the greatest Mike Tomlin fan in the world, but I acknowledge the fact that there's got to be something good going on there. The fact they've never had a losing season under him. But he's sure as hell trying.
He's trying to here with this bullshit.
Double Monday night games, and I know you love the second one because the second one is an ESPN Plus exclusive. Worse than Peacock.
This is
worse than Amazon.
Bullshit crap. It's awful.
So at least we'll have one game to watch. And all 5 of you out there who have ESPN Plus can watch the Chargers at the Cardinals.
Yep. But the rest of us will be watching the Ravens at the Buccaneers.
Good game.
This is going to be fun.
Baker Mayfield, 2nd best quarterback in fantasy. Next to Lamar Jackson, who he is facing. You've got your top 2 fantasy football quarterbacks going at it here in Tampa. Now, the Ravens' defense is not as good as it has been in the past. But, as we've talked about earlier, the Ravens have figured this out. They figured out what to do with Derrick Henry, how to use Lamar Jackson.
They're complementary.
The Ravens are the best team in the AFC right now.
Yep.
And even though the Buccaneers might be the third or fourth best team in the NFC, that ain't going to be good enough.
No, the Ravens are just playing too well right now. The Ravens across the board except for Bill and Doug going with the home Bucks.
And then the exclusive ESPN Plus game, which none of us will be able to watch.
Chargers at the Cardinals.
The Cardinals looked interesting for a couple weeks.
They did, and then they became the standard old Cardinals.
And Kyler Murray now looks like the disappointing, doesn't know how to play football Kyler Murray that we've seen over the past couple years. There was a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of
where
hope.
you thought maybe he might have finally figured it out.
We gave him a top-level young wide receiver paired, and that's been weird. Marvin Harrison either puts up great numbers or nothing.
Yeah, is he even going to play this week?
Right, he's in the concussion protocol.
Because that was a shot he took last week, and where he got up and then dropped right back to the ground. That was not a good situation.
I went against Jim Harbaugh last week. I will not do it again. At least when it comes to playing equal level teams or below.
Yeah.
I will not doubt him ever again. He will figure out a way. He will go into Arizona. He will beat the Cardinals.
Yep, so 4 of us are taking the Chargers. You, me, Bill, and Aaron. The rest taking the Cardinals.
Yep, Sam, Nick, and Doug going with Arizona. So there are your picks for this week, kids.
There's your NFL. But we aren't done with football yet here on Spotify. Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise, of course, known as iHeartRadio. And do not forget to check out the Facebook page for all of our football picks and our NASCAR picks.
Yep, and don't forget your Saturday morning hangover cure.
Yep, we got music reviews, Miles Kennedy. And, of course, we have the latest episode of The Penguin in TV and streaming, along with Teacup. Yes, much more freaky and scary than it sounds. And the movie Caddo Lake up this week. And Dave's got a book review.
Yes, so stay tuned on Saturday morning for that one, kids. Now, continuing on with the NCAA.
Yeah, we won't cover every game. We'll hit the highlights. Of course, here locally, Notre Dame, dominant performance against Stanford, 49-7. What you would expect. Stanford's still not that good. Ever since a certain Mr. Harbaugh left.
Yep. Charlie Strong was all right for him for a couple of years.
Oh, David Shaw.
Or David Shaw, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, David Shaw.
Strong was down what? A&M?
Yeah.
Texas A&M, maybe?
Yeah, no, it was Shaw.
Yeah.
Shaw had a few good years, and then...
Yep. And, of course, there were rumors he was going to take over as the Bears head coach at one point.
Yeah.
Miami had a bye. Miami holds, I believe, at number 6 in the AP poll. Notre Dame slipped to number 12 after being tied for 11th the previous week. But let's go back through last week's slate of games, and we'll explain to you what the other teams did, how they moved up and down. We really shouldn't. You and I should make a pact that we really shouldn't subject these poor people in the audience to our terrible selections and pick. Like thinking Rutgers would be able at home to hang with Wisconsin.
Wisconsin sucks! How did they hang 42 on a Shianu defense on the road?
This is what I'm saying. And then, of course, Iowa just obliterating Washington, somehow figuring out how to score 40 points.
When was the last time Iowa put up 40, let alone over 24.
So obviously, kids, not a great week of picks for us.
Oh, Lord.
I'll admit, Dave did far, far better than me.
No, I think we both won 5.
Yeah, but in the pros, you were undefeated.
Oh, pros, yeah. Pros worked
great.
out.
8-0 for you in the pros. But,
But
college was a mess. You did get one of your Arizona teams.
yes, Arizona State upset number 16 Utah.
But, yeah,
And then it just went to shit.
Yep. Now, the big games involving notable ranked teams. Penn State came from behind in overtime out on the West Coast to beat USC 33-30.
Damn, that would have been a nice upset. It's so close.
Lincoln Riley's got to be in big time trouble out there.
If he had any semblance of a defense at all.
But that's always been
always
the knock.
his case. He doesn't know how to run a defense.
BYU keeps rolling along. They beat your other Arizona team.
Yep.
BYU 41-19 over Arizona.
The game of the week. Number 2, Ohio State loses to number 3, Oregon, 32-31. This was one hell of a game. Back and forth, lead changes from the beginning. And
we might now. Are you going to talk about something I want to talk about at the end of the show, involving a certain penalty?
I was going to call this kind of a Clint Eastwood badass move.
Oh, okay. We might have to call it both. Actually, go ahead and take it, because I'm not going to criticize Oregon. I'm going to be criticizing another entity about this.
There you go.
So
as time is winding down, Ohio State is out of timeouts. Oregon puts 12 men on the field for a play that winds up being incomplete. They take the penalty, but it took enough time off the clock that it hosed Ohio State.
Basically took another play away from Ohio State.
Yeah, it took a play away from Ohio State.
Yeah, nothing. I don't have any problems with that. You play within the rules.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it looks hinky, if it's within the... But
now the NCAA...
Chip. You'll be able to discuss it more later. At the end of the show, Dave.
This is... jackass. You were right. The number 1 jackass on the show.
Then... Lane Kiffin, I said it a couple weeks ago. I said, I can't trust him anymore. I can't. Brian Kelly somehow comes from behind in overtime and beats Mississippi 29-26.
Again, never should have gotten to that point.
If Lane Kiffin,
Kiffin and Lincoln Riley.
This is the best team he has had. Best quarterback he has had at Mississippi. You are not going to be able to recruit. I don't care. Oh, we got more teams in the playoffs. Mississippi's lost 2 games now.
Yeah,
they are on the edge of getting knocked out of this completely.
2 games might be enough to have them booted out.
Yep. And then, of course, my 2 upset picks both screwed me. You stupid-ass little corn-eating motherfuckers in the Midwest. Iowa State and Kansas State.
Oh.
Shit. And of course, that was one of my evil wins picks.
Yep.
Old Dion couldn't beat Kansas State. Came close. 31-28. So let's say we look at this week's picks, and we bring back most of the same teams. In different combinations.
Why? Because we are sadistic.
Because I was mad! I was mad when I put these together.
26 fucking games we picked this week.
Yes.
I told you, what was the rule? Don't pick angry.
How am I supposed to control my emotions?
You send them to me to review, and I will knock them down.
Friday night, October the 18th. I'm a man. I'm 40. Although he's well over 50 by now.
He's over 50.
And he had an incident. Did you hear about this?
Yes, where he was on his ranch and one of his cattle headbutted him. So he's got a bleeding eye and wouldn't be on live stream. He kept his video off for his news conference.
I might tune into this game just to see him with an eye patch and a mullet. The eye patch and the mullet. Oh my God. I love him so much. But unfortunately, he's going to get killed again. This is
not a good Oklahoma State team.
Well, I will say this. I will level the same criticism at Gundy that I just did at Lane Kiffin. Gundy has arguably the greatest running back. Now, I know Boise State's got the Heisman frontrunner, but this kid for Oklahoma State preseason was supposed to be one of the Heisman favorites, and he has not produced. Now, you can say, is that his fault? Is that the fault of his coach?
Is it the play calling? There's a lot going on there.
This team, compared to past Oklahoma State teams, should have been better.
Yeah, this should have been one of his best teams.
Yes.
And they are so underperforming. Not looking good on the road at number 13 BYU. And we're all taking them across the board.
Yep, again, 7 of our 8 panelists with their picks in. Can I tell you, loyalty sucks?
Oh, God.
If it wasn't for the fact that Louisville has looked so bad the last month, with the way Miami has been walking the tightrope, with Cal,
I know,
and then with Virginia Tech,
this was a very hard game.
Miami is the more talented team. I don't care if it's on the road. The weather's not bad yet. It should be a nice weekend in Louisville. Week off, rest, recuperate.
They needed
get your shit together.
Cristobal needs to pull his head out of his ass and get that defense right.
Yeah, defense has been terrible. But I think Miami, again, can outscore their opponent.
They should be able to outscore Louisville. So, Miami across the board, except Nick going with Louisville.
Yep, this is course number 6, Miami, at noon on Saturday, October the 19th, against Louisville.
Yep. Then Nebraska at number 16, Indiana. Indiana's not getting a lot of love.
Well, from us they are.
They are from us, but from the polls, still at 16, being undefeated, running through the Big Ten.
Well, this is going to be a nice little step if they can pull this off. I worry about this game. Now, if this was on the road, definitely would have given this pick a lot more thought.
Yeah. So, Nebraska's close-ish, but Indiana's just got everything firing.
And that's why all of our panelists, 7 picks in so far, all take, God help me, the Hoosiers.
In football.
Yeah.
Basketball, no brainer. But right now they've got a good head coach who's got that team believing.
Oh, look, Dave, it's an Arizona team.
Yeah, fuck Arizona. No, this is the one that won for me last week. But they're not going to do it again on the road in Cincinnati.
Arizona State at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's starting to gain some momentum, starting to play better, beating some teams that...
some better teams.
Yeah, some impressive opponents.
Yes. So they're looking better. So Cincinnati across the board. South Carolina, heartbreak on the road at Alabama. At Oklahoma, who crapped the bed big time against Texas. absolutely embarrassed.
Oklahoma has the wrong head coach. Venables is not a good head coach. I could almost tell it from the minute they hired him.
He was out of his depth.
Former Clemson defensive coordinator, I believe.
Yeah,
he's
just not a head coach.
No. He reminds me of Matt Eberflus when we first had him with the Bears. That type of hire. The coordinator who is way in over his head doesn't really understand how to lead an entire team, how to put together an entire game plan. This is a guy who should just have stayed in his lane.
Yep, you are a defensive coordinator.
I'm taking the Cox. I'm taking the Cox, Dave.
So is Bill and Doug. The rest of us going with Oklahoma. I'm taking Oklahoma, trying to bounce back from the embarrassment. They're at home. South Carolina is going to have that heartbreak hangover.
Well, I'm just glad that me and Bill and Doug are confident in our Cox.
There you go.
Wee little men that I have.
All right. Here's probably your game of the week.
And, 3 weeks ago, I would have thought this could have been potentially number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah, but neither team is looking all that great.
They both have stumbled
had awful
badly.
losses.
And narrow victories.
Yes.
That they should have had blowouts in.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about number 7 Alabama at number 11 Tennessee?
God, I'm going with the home team.
I think I've seen a little bit more from Jalen Milroe, where I have more confidence in him, even on the road. So I'm taking Bama along with Sam and Nick. But Tennessee for you, Bill, Doug, and Aaron.
Yep. So we'll see how it goes up on Rocky Top.
Another matchup of 2 top 25 teams, this time in the Big Ten.
Number 24, Michigan, at number 22, Illinois. Ugh, God. I got to go with Michigan. I still cannot believe in Illinois.
I know, and I get that sentiment. I completely understand it, but that Michigan offense is so inept. I think Illinois, even though I know Michigan's strength is their defense, will be able to put up enough points to beat Michigan.
Yeah,
at home.
This is one of those games that Illinois is just gonna Illini themselves.
Well, I'm not alone.
Nope, you and Bill, Nick, and Doug going with Illinois. Sam and Aaron are going with Michigan with me.
Toledo at Northern Illinois.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised here.
Yeah, I am too, because after Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame, they really haven't done a lot of impressive work on the field. Let's put it that way.
No. But they've had some more impressive showings than what Toledo has given.
Yep.
So
I'm with you, though.
At home, NIU across the board.
Yeah, but I am with you. I'm a little shocked that nobody went with Toledo. Toledo's not a bad team.
No, they're not.
Evil wins! Evil wins! The Jets will win, and so will Deion Sanders in Colorado.
Yep, the Buffaloes at Arizona. Arizona for Sam and Aaron. Colorado for the rest of us.
Yeah, Colorado's actually played better this year than last year.
Yeah.
Where they started off real strong for a couple weeks and then fell off the table. They're actually a competitive team. I will never, ever, ever give credit to Deion Sanders for being a good head coach. But they will probably stumble and bumble their way to a 6-6 record and get into a bowl.
Yeah. There you go. And Hunter is supposed to be back.
Yes, that's a big factor,
which is a huge factor.
Yep.
So
our favorite team here on Sports Frenzy, because they seem to be in our picks each and every week. Who's setting up these picks?
yeah, I think both of them are in our picks week after week.
Oh, Baylor too?
Baylor at Texas Tech.
Because they're those teams. They're
the
7-5,
teams.
6-6 every year.
Yeah, they're your bubble teams.
Yep.
So,
this year I don't think there's much of a bubble. I think Texas Tech
is the
team.
better of the two, except Nick and Doug think Baylor will win.
Home game for Texas Tech, no.
Yeah, no, the rest of us are taking Texas Tech.
All right, this could be a trap game.
I kept going back and forth on this one. Number 8 LSU at Arkansas.
There were only so many SEC underdogs I could take this week.
I know.
And I couldn't. LSU is just the better team, even if it's on the road.
Arkansas.
Even if it's on the road. Number 8 LSU at Arkansas. Everybody but Doug taking LSU. He takes the Razorbacks.
Yep, and that's his bitterness against Brian Kelly. Number 5 Georgia at number 1 Texas.
Another one of these games that maybe lost a little bit of luster because of Georgia not being as strong as in years past.
Yeah, they have had a lot of close games.
Yep.
They are not the dominant Georgia team we have seen.
If this game was at Georgia, much different story.
Yeah, but at Texas, everybody's going with Texas except Sam. He's going with the upset.
I just think Texas's offense is so good that even if Georgia's defense plays their best,
they can overcome it.
I don't know if Georgia's offense can still keep up.
No. And that Texas defense is pretty decent, too.
Now, here's what I'm saying again. I can't pick all the underdogs in the SEC. Florida has got quarterback issues. Florida is switching quarterbacks.
This is Billy Napier's last gasp.
No, that was last week or the week before. This time around, no. No. The swamp will run red with the blood of the Gators.
There you go. Well, Bill and
It'll run blue.
Bill and I are going with the Gators, while the rest of you can go ahead and take Kentucky.
UNLV stumbled a little bit. I thought they would be one of those teams with Boise State, with Memphis, that was going to be pushing for that last slot in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, they had a little hiccup.
And going up against one of the Pac-2.
Yep, going to play at Oregon State. Nick and Doug taking Oregon State.
UNLV's too good.
UNLV is better
even
than
with their
Oregon
quarterback
State.
switch.
Yeah, their new quarterback has not missed much of a beat at all. So UNLV for the majority.
Finally, this one was very tough for me to pick. And it shocks me that it's almost across the board. Utah. We're talking TCU at Utah. Nick is taking TCU. Cam Rising is out now for the year. So Utah's with their second-string quarterback. They have lost a lot of games here recently. They have fallen completely out of the top 25.
But I haven't been impressed much with TCU either.
Right.
That's the thing. And at home, this should be Utah.
Again, everybody but Nick agrees.
Yep. So there's your picks. There you go.
Real quick, because this only deserves 5 minutes before we move on. Because I can't stand the way baseball is going. I can't stand the way the postseason is going. So we have to give our perfunctory, real quick recap of where we are right now with the ALCS and the NLCS. Okay? And I know Game 3 Mets-Dodgers is on right now as we record, which is 1-1. The Dodgers won game 1, 9-0 at Chavez Ravine, and then the Mets came back and won 7-3. There's a snake in the dugout. Bad sign for the Dodgers. No, what the bad sign is for baseball fans is because
money is winning.
We are staring straight at the Yankees versus either the Mets or the Dodgers. Cleveland, way to go, Cleveland. Great fight you're putting up. Why don't you just go home to the mistake by the lake and concede? Because you're
not doing anything.
Your ass is kicked in the first 2 games in New York. Yankees 5-2, Yankees 6-3.
Just,
like you said, though, you pointed it out.
3 payrolls are right there in the mix.
Right, and the Cleveland Guardians, who have a low payroll, are getting their doors blown off.
Because they don't have 1 or 2 true superstars that are needed.
So, this is, to me, awful.
This is what you get for the economic ineptitude that is the MLB.
Oh, but again, Dave, somehow, record viewership, postseason viewership.
How do we have record viewership all the damn time?
For every sport. Every sport all the time.
It's impossible.
Postseason viewership as of Sunday, up 18%.
It's impossible.
I still think if you get Mets-Yankees, you will see abysmal ratings. Because nobody outside of the northeastern United States will care.
Nope, not at all. Some Southside news for the White Sox. Rumblings are Jerry Reinsdorf is having discussions about selling the team.
I'll believe it when I see it.
We'll see what happens.
I'll believe it when I see it.
The rumors are that former pitcher Dave Stewart has a group that's possibly interested.
Really? Dave Stewart?
That was a name that's been bantied about, so we'll see. Then, oh God, why? Why?
See, I had positive news for the White Sox here. And you got all negative stuff.
Well, they're also considering
Phil
Nevin
yeah,
as their new manager. Why? He sucked for the Angels. Why would you think he would do any better? If you want a former Angels manager, bring Mike Scioscia back out of retirement.
Phil Nevin, Skip Schumacher.
Oh my God.
Make your choice of your big power move for manager. You're going to have to settle for somebody. You're not getting a top-tier guy.
No, but
until the team is sold. If you get a new ownership group in to inject some enthusiasm, you might get a bigger name. But until then, these are the guys you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's just...
Now, see, I was going to say, you got a Gold Glove finalist. Second baseman Nicky Lopez.
The one bright spot.
Finishes in the top 3 in the Gold Glove finalists. So,
there we go.
Cubs got Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson to salvage our miserable seasons.
There you go.
And here, speaking of miserable seasons, and speaking of managers, let's tie it all together. Let's put a little bow on all this with another team.
Then can we burn it?
Well, you and I have suffered, and the suffering for 2024 is over, right? Unless you want to count dealing with the Mets and the Yankees and the Dodgers. But for our teams personally, it's pretty much over.
It's done.
Can you please explain this to me? Okay, you guys are looking at Phil Nevin, and you're looking at Skip Schumacher. And again, like I said, unfortunately, that's what you're stuck with.
Right, because nobody's coming in.
Look at the Rockies, would you please? The Rockies just gave Bud Black another year extension on his deal. So he will be back with the Rockies
God.
in 2025. Can I just point out some numbers with Bud Black and how he could conceivably be the worst manager in the history of baseball? Just in the last 2 years with the Rockies, he has 204 losses.
Ouch.
Okay? His career number, he has somehow finagled, swindled, conned his way into being a manager on the major league level for parts or all of 17 seasons.
How?
You know what his winning percentage is?
340?
464. That's not, you might think, oh, that's kind of close to 500. No,
it's not.
When you're looking at 17 years, that's not even close.
No. If you are a manager over 17 years, you should be well over 500.
Or at least close.
Pathetic.
464 is...
That's that's
when you take into account all the games he's managed, a 464 winning percentage probably puts you well over 100 games under 500.
Yeah, easily. Not good.
And of course, we should mention, I have not heard updates on this, but last week we mentioned the fact that Hurricane Milton was getting ready to plow through the Tampa area. And if you've seen the pictures of Tropicana Field, that is a tough situation for that Rays organization because you're supposed to have a new ballpark up and running by 2028, and you have all that money committed to that park. Now, how much money are you going to have to put back into Tropicana Field?
How much is insurance going to cover? Was there any insurance for hurricane damage?
Do you make it an open-air stadium?
I think you have to. You cannot put that roof back on there.
For a couple years? For a couple years.
You're going to be fine. They don't have... You can play open air in Tampa.
I just don't see them investing the money.
You can't. You cannot
to set up a new roof.
You cannot put a roof back on that thing
when it's not going to be their permanent home.
Yeah, you cannot invest the money in that.
25, 26, 27, 3 years.
You don't do it. You just get the field back in shape and be done with it.
And play there for 3 years, and if it rains, it rains.
Yep, that's all you can do. Everybody else does.
Yep. Now, supposedly, even though I don't think it caused permanent damage, Raymond James Stadium, of course, home of the Buccaneers, as the hurricane passed through, I heard that field was fully submerged.
Yeah.
But the NFL stadiums, those fields are set up to drain very well.
Yep, so we'll see how it goes. The NFL will not let that field be an issue.
No, I don't think it will be. And again, of course, we've got that game coming up with the Ravens this coming Monday night. If there was something wrong with that field, we would have heard about it by now.
Yeah, they would have moved the game.
Yeah. So I'm sure it drained fine, especially since it had a couple weeks to dry out. Yep. So, all right. That means it's time to move on to Vroom 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 NASCAR, kids, here on Sports Frenzy 2.0. All right, so we are knee-deep into the playoffs. We just went through another elimination round. We are down to 8 drivers left in the 2024 NASCAR playoffs, the Cup playoffs. But who you thought were the final 8 at the end of the Charlotte Roval race were not!
No! Surprise, surprise! Alex Bowman and the 48 team disqualified. Relegated to a last place finish at the Roval as the car could not make post-race minimum weight. They were given every opportunity, and yet it failed time and again.
Yep, no appeal. Hendrick will not appeal.
Hendricks owned it. They said, yep, we cut the tolerances too close. It's on us. apologize to everybody, and moving on.
So where we thought at the end of the race Joey Logano had been eliminated, no, Sliced Bread is back in.
Yep.
So it ends up being Bowman, Cindric, Suarez, and Briscoe eliminated here as we go down again to the round of 8. And then here's the thing. The 8 we've got left, this is the good 8.
These are a good 8, yes.
There's no flukes in here.
No, the flukes are gone.
Yep. So now we've got a solid top 8 to fight it out for the 2024 Cup Championship. Now, the Charlotte race was pretty good. I didn't hate it. I thought it was interesting.
Very intriguing. Not bad.
Yeah, we thought as in our competition, the Big Blue W leading the way.
Yep.
Took Tyler Reddick, and when Tyler Reddick had massive issues.
Yep. Had the toe linkage broken, the car wouldn't drive. We thought, all right, here's our chance to have a monster day to get ahead of him. But alas, the team showed up and got that car fixed.
What, 11th place finish, I believe?
11th place finish. And what, with just 20 laps to go, they pitted to give him fresh tires, and he marched from 26th up to 11th.
Yep.
That was one hell of a run. That was a great performance to get back into it.
Oh,
like
you're just kissing his ass because he's your pick this week.
Well, there is that too, but no, that was a hell of a comeback for him to have been out of it.
That team, every team has flaws. Let's put it that way. All of these 8 teams that are left, drivers, crew chiefs, pit crews,
there's something
have underwhelmed at some point during the year. But yeah, you had Chase Elliott, who had a great race. I had A.J. Allmendinger, who actually got stage points. That was my one worry, was that he and Shane Van Gisbergen were not going to run for stage points.
No, but they both got some points. Yep. And yes, we know in the NASCAR they weren't awarded, but in our competition they are.
Yep. Well, actually, in NASCAR Fantasy they do too.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, they'll give the stage points. Yeah, just for the actual
race because they're not full time.
Right. So everybody except Doug did very well at the Roval. Doug took Ross Chastain. Not a good run for Ross.
No, Ross got fully blown up, flat out run into and taken out.
But yeah, I'm glad I did not finalize my numbers on our spreadsheet until I woke up Monday and saw the disqualification.
Yeah.
And then everybody's point or two here
everything.
And there. So, because Dinger got a stage win out of it, because he finished second in the second stage.
Wow.
Bowman won the second stage because of the DQ.
Out, everybody moved up, so that tweaked all of that.
Yep. But still, not really enough to make a major dent in Bill's lead.
No.
So hopefully it'll be this week. But before we get to that, a couple other little news and notes tidbits to discuss. Anytime I can talk about Hailie Deegan, you know I'm going to talk about Hailie Deegan. My beautiful Hailie Deegan is going to be in the Indy NXT series in 2025. That, of course, is kind of the minor leagues, the up-and-comers for the IndyCar series.
Interesting moving over there.
Just keep her in the news, keep pictures up on the internet.
Moving out of the trucks and out of the stock cars into the open wheels.
Yep. The beautiful smile and the flowing dark hair.
Yeah, stay on point.
NASCAR, shockingly, will oppose 2311 and Front Row their preliminary injunction request.
No.
I know. Shocking. Right?
The bullies? Bullying? Come on.
I told you, I was very surprised that they pulled this move, because I knew NASCAR was going to do everything in their power to make sure you're not going to race in 2025.
Yeah, they're going to do all they can to keep them out of it. But
Well, the law.
The law will not allow that to stand.
I am the law. I fought the
We
law
need Judge
and the
Dredd.
law won. I'll just pull out every
There you go.
social media pop culture reference I can.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
Now, another little interesting behind the scenes scandal in NASCAR. An engineer at Joe Gibbs Racing, who was winding down last few months of his contract,
Yep.
looking for another opportunity with another team, decided to share proprietary setup information.
Not cool.
Now NASCAR has disclosed it is a non-playoff team.
Doesn't matter.
Right, but it's still it makes a difference, not in terms of the penalty, but at least we know, according to NASCAR, the playoffs aren't tainted.
Well, there is that piece, but still, not a good look.
And NASCAR has so many bad looks lately.
Yes, they do, and they focus on the things that they shouldn't be focusing on.
Yeah. But we'll focus on the stuff that we should, which is the racing. Playoff race number 7 coming up this Sunday. Oh shit, we won't be able to watch this, will we?
Nope.
Concerts. That's
all right. We'd rather be at a concert.
Especially this one.
Yes.
October the 20th, 2024, the South Point 400, Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
One of the cookie cutters.
Now, I think Bill gifted us another chance to make up some ground.
We can only hope.
And get back into this Frenzy Cup competition. Bill, in the lead, took Martin Truex Jr., who, by all accounts, last week just wanted to quit and be done.
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't he the one who flat out wrecked Ross Chastain in the corner, just ran him right over?
Yeah, I think Truex just wants this all to be done.
Yeah, he just wants the season
He's not
end.
going out as a graceful former champion. He just wants to get on a boat and go fish.
Done.
So Bill is going. This is the trap you can fall into when you don't pay attention to recent trends with these drivers and just look at the past 4 or 5 years in their history.
Yeah.
So Bill takes Martin Truex Jr. I'm going max points. This is the race. I get max points, back-to-back wins for Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is guaranteed money at Vegas. My goal is to get ahead of you, get into second place, and then I will work on Bill.
You know why I didn't join you? Because they don't go back-to-back anymore. Nobody wins back-to-back races.
But this is a different stage in the playoffs.
Doesn't matter. It's still trying to win back-to-back weeks.
Everything resets. Kyle knows he has got to win to get to the championship race. And that's fine for you. You can have him in the championship race. That's all fine and good. My cushion by then will be so huge.
No, it won't, because Tyler Reddick, coming off that comeback from the Roval, he has finished second in the spring to Larson. This will be his time to shine.
Well, Aaron agrees with you.
Yep.
That's fine.
So, there we go.
Now, the most popular pick is with Sam, with Jen, and with Nick. They are all taking William Byron.
Yep.
Which is fine.
It's a solid pick.
Fine. I have plans for him later on. You've already burned him.
Trying to make up ground early, and it didn't quite work.
And then Doug is taking Denny Hamlin. So there you go. There are 8 picks for the South Point 400 from Las Vegas. Let's move on to basketball just real quick. We're not talking about the NBA. I'll just
Comebacks could be comeback story of the year. Lonzo Ball making his debut tonight
With the Bulls?
with the Bulls after his 2+ year hiatus with that devastating knee injury, multiple surgeries. The last one kind of an experimental, replacement tissues. Hopefully the kid can come back. So we'll have to wait and see. But
I don't care. I don't care. He got paid to sit on his ass for 2 years. Millions and tens of millions of dollars. I don't care. I really don't care.
there you go.
And I'm getting to the point where I really don't care about the lesbians either. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that because Brianna Stewart got death threats.
There's no nobody should be issuing death threats to anybody.
No, they shouldn't, but I'm just saying, she's not the only one.
No, she's not.
Idiots out there living in their mother's basement issue these death threats to every celebrity, every athlete, everywhere. But of course, the Alphabet Mafia is making a big deal about it because it was a lesbian threat.
It's no different than on anybody else.
Oh, yes, it is. It's because lesbians are special. Lesbians.
They're no different than anybody else.
I still don't understand this WNBA. Why are there so many lesbians in the WNBA? I don't get it. Anyway, the Lynx, the Minnesota Lynx, are tied with the New York Liberty, 1 game apiece. They're playing Game 3 tonight in the best of 5. Oh, but next year, they're going to expand to best of 7.
Oh, yay.
Yippee skippy.
I can't wait.
More lesbians. Yay, more lesbians. In NCAA basketball, the preseason polls are out. Hey, Dave, guess who is the AP men's preseason number 1?
Oh, gee, who could it possibly be?
Kansas.
Oh, there's a shock. Not. Why? It's either Kansas or Duke. Or North Carolina, traditionally. Those 3.
I do have my badass, my Clint Eastwood badass, which kind of ties into the polls here. Kudos to Iowa State, despite the fact I have been ripping them to shreds the last couple weeks. Fucking cow milking, corn husking motherfuckers.
You're just better at their football program for hosing you over.
Iowa State currently, right now, as we record, are in the top 10 in football. They're number 9 in the AP poll. And in preseason basketball in both the men's and the women's. They are number 5 in the men's preseason AP poll. Number 8 in the women's preseason AP poll. So,
that is not the Iowa team you would expect.
Nope. Iowa State, kudos, props to you.
Yep, way to go, Cyclones.
Yep. In tennis, the second of the big 3 is calling it quits. Rafael Nadal will compete in November in the Davis Cup, and then he is done.
Yep, we knew it was coming, kids.
So now it's going to be all about Novak Djokovic padding, possibly, his record
Potentially.
for most majors.
Can he stay healthy? Can he compete with the young guys?
How many more years, months does he have left?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see anything in tennis like we saw with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. I just don't. I mean, those are your top 3 all time. Yet they were
all playing at the same time, beating each other.
They were competing against each other, yet they're still the top 3 all time in majors won. That just tells you it was them and nobody else.
Yeah. That's how far tennis has fallen.
You want to tell the kids about the Blackhawks?
They're not in dead last.
No, they got kind of screwed. They got a West Coast swing right off the bat.
Yeah, they did. So, 3 games in, or what? 4 games in, they are, 1, 2, and 1. 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 loss in overtime. So they've got 3 points, which is better than they've been the last couple years. So,
Well, again,
we'll see. They're at least looking more competitive after that blowout disaster in Utah.
yeah, they beat the Oilers.
Yep.
That was their victory.
Yeah.
And now they finally get to come back home and should get an easy win. Should against the San Jose Sharks.
Should. We'll see.
And I could have made this guy another Clint Eastwood badass of the week, but Alex Ovechkin, congratulations as he becomes the 6th player in NHL history, 700 goals and 700 assists.
There you go.
Can I just say, though, and I'm not nearly the hockey fan you are, when I look at Wayne Gretzky's numbers, they just blow my mind compared to everybody else.
Yeah. That's why he's the greatest. The great one.
I think I saw somebody related to this Alex Ovechkin accomplishment, the whole article.
Yeah.
They said that if you took all of Gretzky's goals away, he would still be the top scorer points-wise in the history of the NHL because of all the assists.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy was a maniac.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right, no moments of silence, which is a good thing.
Yep.
No death.
No deaths, so we just get right into finding out who will be this week's Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
All right, we have 5 dumbasses competing this week, and we've already kind of figured out 1 or 2 of them. So let's start with the ones that we know are coming.
All right.
We talked earlier about a great college football game this past weekend with Ohio State and Oregon. And of course, you pointed out astutely.
Yep, that Oregon, late in the game, put a 12th man on the field to help take away time from the clock.
Which, again, fine. There's no rule against it.
No, there's not.
But my problem is with the NCAA.
It's always a problem. The NCAA is a problem.
Because they came out today with a knee-jerk reaction and said, well, we're closing that loophole effective immediately, so nobody can do that right now ever again. Now, if somebody tries to put a 12th man on the field in that situation, the offense will have the option of taking the time back and putting it back on the clock. Here's my problem with this, and this is why I'm nominating them for Dumbass of the Week. You don't change the rules midstream.
You cannot do that.
You need to do this at the end of the year.
Yep.
If you just need to call together a bunch of your cronies and make it look all nice and formal and say, we got together with the heads of officials.
And next year, this will not be allowed.
You can't do this in the middle of the season.
No.
That's not fair. And I hate to say it because I don't care about Ohio State, but that's not fair to Ohio State.
Exactly.
Ohio State's going to sit there and go,
what the hell?
Bullshit! Bullshit!
This is the rule. It's always been the rule. They don't get the time back. You cannot knee-jerk react this.
You should have, whether you like it or not, allowed other teams to pull this shit for the rest of the year and then fix it after the bowls in early 2025.
Yep,
you don't do this mid-season. The only time you can do this is it involves player safety.
Right, yes.
But otherwise, you don't, in the middle of the season, say, oh, we fucked up. Can't believe this has been actually on the books for years. We need to stop it right now.
Well, that's on you for being inept.
I cannot stand mid-season rule changes.
No, it's awful, and that's one of the biggest problems we have with NASCAR too. Is they're notorious for changing rules week to week.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm not a bitter man. I'm not. I'm really.
But you play one on a podcast.
So this one's personal. This one's personal. Because I actually played along with this and got sucked in, and then I was cheated. So I get my this is Yahoo Sports. They have I've told you guys, a really interesting, fun Monday through Friday morning email newsletter that they send out.
Yeah.
Right? Lots of cool stuff, lots of cool facts. Every once in a while, I will pull something from it and throw it out here. But when you cheat, when I devote 5 or 10 minutes of my precious time on this earth, and then you cheat me in your trivia questions, I get mad. So this morning, it was actually this morning, October the 16th, because it involved the Davante Adams trade. Davante Adams was one of 7 wide receivers. That's what the newsletter asked.
What wide receivers?
Davante Adams is one of 7 wide receivers who have current players on current NFL rosters who have 10,000 or more receiving yards. And they gave you the first letter of the last name for the other 6. So I'm sitting there going through with my brain and the teams, and I'm looking at I just called up the standings to look at the teams, and I'm just going through, and it took me 10 minutes, and I came up with all but K. I had 5 of the 6. And I'm like, K, I can't. Cooper Kupp, I don't think he's got 10,000 yards. But I'm like, I can't come up with anybody else. It took me a while to get DeAndre Hopkins, but I got it. But I'm like, okay, I'll guess Cooper Kupp, because I don't know who else it could be. Then I scroll down to look at the answer. Travis Kelce!
He's not a wide receiver!
He's a fucking tight end! You made me waste 10 minutes of my life working on this, and then you cheated me! Travis Kelce is a tight end! He is not a wide receiver! You
Get your damn facts straight, morons.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me vent on that.
That's ridiculous.
Because I'm sitting there driving myself crazy. K, it's got to be Cooper Kupp. Who else can it be? Because I'm looking at wide receivers.
Which is what you said.
Idiots.
We have to run everything.
I know. And here's something else we need to run. We obviously need to run the Ryder Cup.
Oh, God, these...
The 2025 Ryder
these
Cup.
elitist bastards.
2025 Ryder Cup will be played at the prestigious Bethpage Black, gorgeous, public course.
Public course.
Where it costs approximately $75 to play a round of golf. Very reasonable, considering this is in the upper northeast.
Right.
But because they want to discourage rowdy fans in the New York area from attending the Ryder Cup, but
it's okay to be rowdy over in Europe, but you can't be here in America.
This whole thing is supposed to be about home field advantage, whether it's Europe, like you said, or New York or the U.S.
Wherever.
Right. Per day ticket for the 3 days to watch the Ryder Cup, $750 per day.
Yeah.
1 day out of the 3. So basically $2,250 if you want to sit in the gallery for all 3 days of the Ryder Cup.
Practice days, $255 each practice day. fucking ridiculous.
And once again, we're seeing this happen. Concerts, sporting events.
Everything is going up, 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 pricing every man out.
And we're going to start to see the repercussions of this. Because I am hearing more and more about concerts that are getting canceled. Justin Timberlake recently, I don't know if you heard about this.
Oh yeah, canceled an hour before the show. Right as the doors were opening, he sends out, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to perform tonight.
I've got an injury." And I heard a lot of that had to do with the fact, a lot of empty seats. A lot of unsold tickets.
Yeah, because he wants too much fucking money.
Okay, normally Dave and I hate hockey. Soccer.
Yes.
We hate soccer. Hate soccer. We don't make any bones about it. We hate it.
Soccer sucks.
It's boring. So there is a new NWSL expansion team in Boston. This, of course, is the National Women's Soccer League here in the U.S. Put out a great opening marketing campaign that managed to piss off the Alphabet Mafia. The marketing campaign focused on a couple slogans. Because again, keep in mind, this is the Women's Soccer League. I personally think it's kind of clever, but the trans... Again, women's sports, why are the women's sports all of a sudden taken over by the Alphabet Mafia and the lesbians and the transgenders? This is what I don't get. Because the marketing campaign cleverly said, no balls necessary. And there's just too many balls in Boston sports. But of course, the Alphabet Mafia didn't like that. Seems hostile.
What's hostile about it?
Transphobic.
What's hostile about it?
I thought you guys loved to make fun of men and make men feel like shit.
You want to emasculate men.
Yeah. That's not good enough, so now...
Oh my God.
Because some transgender people might actually want balls? Is that what we're getting at now? It's a women's soccer league. It's clever and funny. Too many balls. No balls necessary. I think it's hysterical. I think it's great marketing. But no,
That's the cancel culture we live in.
Don't cross the Alphabet Mafia.
Yeah, the vast minority. Ugh.
So we go from the vast minority to the 1%ers to close out with our fifth and final nominee, the worst owner in sports. I know, you think it's Jerry Reinsdorf, but this is a guy who thinks he's brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
Who thinks he's smart beyond belief, and that is one Jerry Jones.
No, he is the worst owner.
Jerry Jones, of course,
He's given himself too much power.
Jerry Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys, as you all know.
He's their general manager.
And has not won shit since he ran the greatest coach of all time, Jimmy Johnson, out of the building for being too successful and too smart. No, I can't have that. I got to take over. I got to be the man. Meanwhile, I'm impregnating people and having kids out of wedlock and not acknowledging them.
Yep, I'm just going to be a good old boy doofus.
So now, the fact that he is the only owner, the only GM that gets on radio shows every week after Cowboy games in the regular season. Now you can't criticize him. Couple local Dallas radio hosts
questioned him about the team's performance. Rightly so.
Asked critical questions about the status of the team, and he threatened them with their jobs, even though technically he really can't fire them.
He does not work for them. Or they do not work for him, sorry.
But you got to go out and listen to the entire
Oh my
exchange.
God, his rant makes no sense at all.
Basically saying that they work for him. He could get them replaced. I don't think you are in the position to question me. Now, if you were true fans, then I would take your questions and I would respond to the criticism. But you work for me, so who are you to ask these kind of questions of me? That's
what an arrogant, pompous ass.
That's the gist of it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of the exchange. You can find it out there on the internet, the whole interview. And the sad thing is, given the money and the power he has in Dallas, Arlington, that area, he could probably get him fired. He could buy the radio station, and then get him canned. Now, would it
Does he have enough money with what he's paying Prescott and Lamb?
And all his lawsuits?
Yeah.
His daughter.
His paternity lawsuits.
Yeah. So there you go, Dave. Your 5 Dumbass of the Week nominees when it comes to sports.
They're so good. And while I do love to pile on the NCAA, I have to pile on Jerry Jones just to make his week that much worse.
Just, the terrible
ego
pompous.
And arrogance
and you can almost tie that into what we were talking about with the tickets.
Yeah.
With the Ryder Cup, and the rich, the arrogant, and the pompous are trying to, without even disguising it anymore, take over everything.
Yeah. Nobody means anything to them.
I'm going to go with the Alphabet Mafia.
There you go.
I hate the Alphabet Mafia so much. And again, I went to school for marketing. And I think, let's have some fun with this marketing campaign. I think it's awesome. Oh, but the transgender community, it's very transphobic.
No, it's not!
Is it transphobic?
It's not!
It's funny
They're
and clever.
making shit up just to get their names out there.
This society is so repressed. So repressed. Seriously, you go over to Japan. There's like big erect penises in gardens right out there in the open. You can hire a geisha. You come to a decent agreement on price, you got a prostitute for the night. Here we can't even have a funny advertising campaign for a women's soccer team saying no balls necessary. Oh no, you've offended everybody. No,
I'm not offended. I think it's brilliant.
And of course we get to the weekend edition. We'll talk about Motley Crue's canceled, which would tie in
very
perfectly.
Apropos.
Yes, along with a lot of other good stuff. But you'll have to tune in Saturday morning as you nurse your Friday night overindulgence.
That's right.
That's coming up this Saturday morning, October the 19th. That, of course, will still feature your Uncle Dave.
And your Uncle Kev.
But until then, we love you. We thank you very much for tuning in each and every week to our politically incorrect, vulgar nonsense. But somehow it is brilliant. More brilliant than anything else you're going to listen to out there in podcast land.
Or on the news, for that matter.
So you know you're going to be back in 7 days for more of this good stuff. But once again, do not cheat yourself.
Get the full effect with the weekend edition.
But until then, say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.